Well, according to the Department of Agriculture, more than 40% of the country's farm workers are undocumented.
Trump's immigration policies affect food prices, farmers, and the U.S. economy. The effect of Trump's immigration policy. Have you noticed how expensive food has become? Prices are rising, and fresh produce is becoming harder to afford. Many blame inflation, supply chain disruptions, or even global conflicts. But there's another major factor at play that few people talk about: immigration policies. During Donald Trump's presidency, his administration enforced stricter immigration laws, which led to mass deportations and a shortage of farm workers. Many of these workers were the backbone of America's agricultural industry. Without them, food production suffered, and prices skyrocketed. The U.S. farming industry has always relied heavily on immigrant labor, particularly undocumented workers. However, Trump's crackdown on illegal immigration, increased border security, and deportation policies significantly reduced the workforce available for farms. This meant fewer people to pick fruits, harvest vegetables, and tend livestock. As a result, crops were left rotting in the fields, farm productivity plummeted, and grocery store prices surged. In this video, we will break down how Trump's immigration policies impacted farmers, raised food prices, and hurt the U.S. economy as a whole. We will also explore the long-term consequences and what potential solutions exist. Let's begin by understanding who actually works on U.S. farms and why their role is so critical. Who works on U.S. farms? When we think of farming, we often picture hard-working American farmers running their family businesses. But what many people don't realize is that the actual labor, picking crops, working in dairy farms, and processing meat, is mostly done by immigrants. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, more than 50% of all farm workers in America are undocumented immigrants. In some regions, like California, Texas, and Florida, that number is even higher, reaching up to 75%. The vast majority of these workers come from Mexico and Central America, seeking better economic opportunities. Why do immigrants take these jobs? Simply put, they are jobs that most Americans refuse to do. Farming is physically demanding, low-paying, and often unstable due to seasonal work schedules. Here's what these workers do. Harvest crops. Picking fruits like strawberries, blueberries, and oranges is back-breaking labor that requires long hours under the sun. Dairy farming. Milking cows, feeding livestock, and maintaining barns is crucial for the dairy industry. Meat processing. Slaughterhouses and meatpacking plants rely heavily on immigrant labor to keep the supply chain running. Without these workers, farms can't operate efficiently. The labor shortage caused by Trump's immigration crackdowns left farms struggling to keep up with demand. Many farmers reported losing thousands to millions of dollars as crops were left to rot in the fields due to the lack of labor. But what exactly did Trump's immigration policies entail? Let's break them down. Trump's immigration crackdown. When Donald Trump took office in 2017, one of his main promises was to tighten immigration laws and reduce the number of undocumented immigrants in the country. He implemented several aggressive policies to achieve this goal, including 1. Increased deportations. The Trump administration ramped up deportations of undocumented immigrants, even those without criminal records. ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, conducted more raids on workplaces, leading to the removal of thousands of agricultural workers. 2. Stricter border security. The administration pushed for the construction of a border wall and increased patrols along the U.S.-Mexico border, making it harder for seasonal workers to enter the country. 3. Workplace immigration raids. Trump's government conducted large-scale raids on farms, food processing plants, and slaughterhouses, arresting hundreds of undocumented workers. 4. Tighter work visa restrictions. Many farmers rely on H-2A visas to legally bring in seasonal workers. However, under Trump, processing times for these visas slowed down, and fewer were approved, making it difficult for farms to hire enough legal workers. The combined effect of these policies led to a significant decline in the agricultural workforce. Many workers were deported, others left voluntarily out of fear, and new workers were unable to replace them due to visa restrictions. This resulted in a severe labor shortage across the U.S. farming industry. Farmers immediately felt the impact, but so did consumers. As farms struggled to produce food, the prices of fresh produce, dairy, and meat began to rise rapidly. The labor shortage crisis. The U.S. farming industry cannot function without immigrant labor, and the labor shortage caused by Trump's policies created a crisis that affected the entire country. Farmers found themselves in a desperate situation. With fewer workers available, crops were left rotting in the fields, dairy farms struggled to meet demand, and meat processing plants operated at reduced capacity. The consequences were severe. Economic losses. Some farmers reported losses in the millions of dollars due to unharvested crops. Food waste. Tons of perfectly good food went to waste because there weren't enough hands to pick, package, and distribute it. Higher wages. Still no workers. Some farms tried increasing wages to attract American workers, but the jobs remained largely unfilled. Many farm owners pleaded with the government to loosen immigration restrictions and grant temporary work permits to undocumented farm workers, but their requests were largely ignored. As a result, the food supply in the U.S. took a major hit, leading to rising prices. But why didn't more Americans step up to take these jobs? Why Americans don't want farm jobs? One of the common arguments in the immigration debate is that Americans should take over farm jobs if immigrants are leaving. But the reality is more complicated. Farming is one of the hardest and least desirable jobs in America. It involves long hours of physically demanding labor, low wages even when increased, exposure to extreme weather conditions, seasonal instability with no job security. Even when farmers offered higher wages, most American workers refused these jobs. Many preferred jobs in industries like construction, retail, or fast food, which offer better pay, benefits, and stability. A study by the American Farm Bureau Federation found that even when farm wages were raised by 20 to 30%, farms still couldn't find enough workers. This confirmed that immigrants weren't taking jobs from Americans. They were doing jobs that Americans didn't want. As a result, the labor crisis persisted, leading to food shortages and price increases. Farmers forced to shut down. The labor shortage caused by Trump's immigration policies wasn't just an inconvenience, it was an existential crisis for many farmers. Without enough workers to harvest crops, maintain livestock, or process food, thousands of farmers were forced to shut down their operations. Small and medium-sized farms were hit the hardest because they lacked the financial resources to absorb the losses. Unlike large corporate farms, smaller family-owned farms couldn't afford to pay dramatically higher wages or invest in automation to replace workers. The financial toll on farmers. Many farmers found themselves in a lose-lose situation. Hiring American workers was nearly impossible. Even after raising wages and offering incentives, very few Americans were willing to take on the physically demanding work of farming. The bottom line. The U.S. needs immigrant labor to keep its agricultural system running. Without it, food prices will continue to rise, farms will keep shutting down, and everyone, from farmers to consumers, will suffer. Policies that criminalize hard-working immigrants don't just hurt them, they harm the entire country. The question now is, will the U.S. learn from past mistakes, or will history repeat itself? If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content on important economic and political issues. What do you think? Should the U.S. make it easier for immigrants to work legally in farms? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, stay informed and keep questioning the policies that shape our world.